My turn. We'll get together. Okay, our gospel today will be read. Please rise if you're able. Today's gospel is Matthew 26, 36 to 46. Jesus prays in Gethsemane. Jesus went with the disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." Jesus took along Peter, James, and John, and became grieved and agitated. Then Jesus said to them, "I am deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and stay awake with me." And going a little farther, Jesus threw himself on the ground and prayed, "My God, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not what I want, but what you want." When Jesus returned to the disciples, he found them sleeping. Jesus said to Peter, "Could you not stay awake with me for even 1 hour? Stay awake and pray that you may not undergo a time of trial. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." And Jesus went away for a second time and prayed, "My God, if this cup cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done." Again Jesus returned and found the disciples sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. So leaving them again, Jesus went away and prayed for the third time, saying the same words. Then Jesus returned to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? See, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up and let us be going. See, my betrayer is here." This ends the reading of the gospel.
Ale, ale, alleluia. Ale, ale, alleluia. Ale, ale, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia. Ale, ale, alleluia. Ale, ale, alleluia. Ale, ale, alleluia. Alleluia.
Our guest preacher today, as I mentioned earlier, is actually our unsung hero from our anniversary celebration a week ago Saturday. Ace Ricker, who has been a transgender advocate, activist, speaker, and educator for the past 15 years, half of his very young life. Ace marched with us at the historic National Transgender Visibility March on Washington in September, and for the past 10 years has been an important part of the Transgender Day of Remembrance right here, hosted by MCC Hartford. Ace has provided testimonials in front of Congress, is an LGBTQ+ youth advocate, and while earning his degree at UConn, Ace traveled with the UConn men's and women's basketball teams as a sportscaster. It is with great love and affection that I ask you now to join me in welcoming Ace to our pulpit.
Take a sip for nerves. Before I start, will you pray with me? Take a deep breath in of positivity as you exhale negativity. Take a deep breath in for the love we share for each other, and exhale the hatred that may be casted by others. As we gather with each other in our breath, let us not only take in the Spirit of God, but the vibrant spirit of each other, with the beautiful blues and purples, and the radiant reds, orange, and yellows, the refreshing greens, and so many colors that each of our souls bring to this room and each other. We gather here today to affirm ourselves and one another, making sure each of us knows the wonderful rainbows of beauty that we hold inside. Take a deep breath and remember to know your worth as I know you are worth. When I first chose these verses from Matthew, I read them through again and again from different versions of the Bible, and I found three things that consistently stood out. The first is the hardship that Jesus faced, and the second, on top of that, is the sadness and anguish Jesus faced while asking certain individuals to be there for him, to stay awake, yet they did not. But last, and most of all, is that at the end of this verse, Jesus, even during his hardship, found the strength and hope to carry on, being the voice for the people. Being the voice to lift others up, even when it was hard for themselves to lift themselves up on their own. Each of us face many hardships throughout our lives, especially individuals in the LGBTQ+ community. Thinking of the struggles that I have faced with finding people who will accept me for who I am and how I identify and so forth. As each of us in this room struggles in one way or another, just as Jesus did. Whether it be the stresses or tensions that are found in our jobs, to family life that we may go back to and be brought upon in strength that may be so hard to swallow at points. Or coming out about something like identity or orientation. Just as Jesus felt hardship, we all in some way feel suffering. And at times, we look to certain people to console us and to empathize with us. Sometimes these individuals fall asleep and begin to have heavy eyes as those around Jesus. We will find throughout our lives there will be people that will do this, and it will be hard to take. The individuals that we may look to may only fall asleep in the end. Now that seems exceedingly sad to reflect on, but that's why I started here first. I started here in my sermon because throughout this, we will thrive with happiness and joy. We must face the realities that we will have burdens and obstacles to overcome. But understanding and seeing those burdens show the wonder and marvel of how much you have already overcome in your lives, how much strength you have taken by being here and stepping out into the world every single day with God. And those obstacles you will overcome in the future. In this room, I would like you to look around to the people sitting next to you on the left and right and behind you. These individuals here today, and so many outside of MCC's walls, will not fall asleep. These people will stick by your side through thick and thin. I've experienced this such power, this unity, walking with several members, honored to walk in the Trans Equality March in Washington, D.C. And sometimes when our hearts ache and are heavy, like they will be for the TDOR vigil on the 20th of this month, all over this world and here, we will stand and be consoled by family and friends and allies that will be with us and embrace us, whether in a hug or with their spirit from miles away. They will not fall asleep. Each of us face hardship, but one of the things I must remind you is that when you face these hardships, and yes, there will be individuals to fall asleep, but most importantly, there are people that will be wide awake through every step. I was fortunate to be one of the two individuals honored with Diana Lombardi this past week at the MCC anniversary dinner. And just as I stood there, I stand here and say again to each of you who empower me to strive forward. Each of you stand awake with me through my hardships as you do for others. You do this for your family members, your friends, and even for those whom you may only see for a few seconds a day. Staying awake for somebody, as it is put in this verse, it does not need to be monumental things. It can be a simple good morning, or as I call it, a stay awake action, to holding the door for someone else, creating that ripple of hope, lighting up someone's heart that may have been dimmed, giving them the breath of fresh air they've needed for so long. From person to person across this room and into the world, with grace, empowerment, and unity, all of you do that for someone else. We may find ourselves having to let certain people go who fall asleep, but overall, you will overcome with those who stay awake and stand and hold and care for you as you do them. When Jesus was on top of that mountain, he found the hurdle of hope, the empowerment and inspiration to move on and move forward, even in such anguish as you do for others. There are some of you here, like my dear friend Aaron, who I have known for over 10 years, and who have seen some of my hardships, and several of you who have heard them this past Saturday. There was a point in time where I reflected on these hardships that weighed a lot on my mind. Thinking about the more than 41% of trans individuals who commit suicide, to the concerns about being protected at our jobs, or whether we are worth finding love. These were hurdles that I faced. But each day, I first thought about this. I now stand here proud to be who I am, to say that I am a trans man in the community, and am proud. I stand here today thankful to be alive, to experience life, because I found individuals like Aaron that show me I am worth it just as you are. Finding people like my friend at the health benefit office at my job, who not only guided me to make sure that my top surgery was fully covered by insurance, but to help in my job, not for just myself, but other trans individuals get full coverage through our insurance. This is an ally who stands with us and stays awake with us. And through these individuals, just as all of you, you are worthy. You have so much worth to you. And I find love within that, as I found love within you. A quote saying, "The only time you look back is to see how far you've come, and look back to see how far you've come, and how strong each and every one of you are." Whatever struggle you may have, you will overcome it with the hurdle of hope. With the hands of people here and the spirits around this community, this world, they will stay with you. They may come from your friends or family members, the person sitting next to you today, or even someone you least expected. I reflect on my obstacles that I have overcome in my life as I ask you to. Not to be saddened by them, but to look at how strong each of you are. I ask this because you are strong, you are worth it, and the individuals in this room and outside these walls will not fall asleep on you.